After a sensational 2017 campaign, Carson Wentz was on the road to stardom, ranked as the third best player in the NFL top 100. But since that period of stardom, consistency and injuries have plagued Carson Wentz, and in 2020, he's having the worst season of his career. It's been a hell of a go for the quarterback from North Dakota State. But let's take a look at his numbers and what he's done so far in this 2020 NFL season, because there's a lot to cover, and it doesn't just come down to his play, but also the play of his teammates around him and helping him pick up and turn this ship right. Okay, so let's take a look at the numbers here. Obviously not very good for Carson Wentz. Through 3 weeks, 737 yards passing, which is 20th, 3 touchdown passes, which has him tied for 25th, 6 interceptions, which has him dead last in the NFL, and his QBR is 35.5, which is good for 29th. Now, this is clearly a far cry from his 2017 campaign, and he's just not getting the job done right now in terms of his production and his accuracy. And really, to be honest, it's a number of different things. It doesn't really just come down to one specific aspect of their offensive game. And when we look at this defense here on this play, looks like it's going to be a man blitz scheme. You've got a safety playing center field over the top. You've got a snap front with 2 linebackers in the A gaps over the center. And you've got man everywhere else with the secondary. Now, in this situation on the offense for the Eagles, they're in what we would have called a hot formation. You have no running back in the backfield to help protect. So that means that any kind of threat coming from the inside out is going to be handled by the offensive line. So with 2 linebackers in the A gaps, like we see here, I would call those 2 as my alerted players on the O-line. That would tell the rest of the offensive line that we're actually squeezing down to cover these 2 guys because they're in the gaps. It is a threat. You have to respect that. And the quarterback has anyone coming from the outside. Now, this is something that Carson Wentz should understand at this point at his career, that that outside threat is yours. You have to have a route in play for you to be able to beat that outside man. And if you look at the routes, you can tell a little bit in the end zone right there that the routes are too long. They're not running anything to defeat the blitz. And when you're able to get teed off on like that by defenses bringing an obvious blitz, it shows that you have either bad coaching or the players don't understand how to best protect themselves while out there on the field. Now on this play, we're looking at something that's going to be a little bit different. I looked at this play a few times to try and decipher what defense they were in. I came to the conclusion that they're in a man-2 coverage with the zone kind of set for the linebackers on the interior. You have both cornerbacks playing man, but you have the linebackers in the nickel actually kind of playing a zone, soft zone coverage with the safeties over the top. So a little bit of a hybrid there, but I would generally call that a cover 2, just because those safeties are playing over the top of it. Now, this is actually a very good pocket. There's a great pocket that's really helped by the stunt that the Bengals tried to run. But again, I look at Jason Peters and I say, you've got to do a better job with your initial set. His initial sets in many of his plays that I checked out in their film have just not been the kind of sets that you're going to want as a quarterback who's trying to find his rhythm. Like for instance, in this play here, we're taking a look at the game last week versus the Bengals. Carson Wentz in his drop back here. Now it appears to him, from what I can tell, that he thinks that this is a cover 2 coverage. From how we're looking at it, looks like the linebackers in the box are hanging back in their zones. Looks like you've got bailing cornerbacks on the side. But in reality, what we're looking at here is a cover 1 hole. So the safety is going to be playing middle of the field. Everyone else is in man coverage. As you can see, the linebackers in middle of the field, they separate once that crossing route makes its break. And the Mike linebacker in the middle actually is playing the whole player. He's setting back a little bit, covering a zone, covering under anything that's going to come middle to short in terms of passing routes. So this route that Wentz decides to pass to is actually triple covered if you think about it. You have a linebacker playing under it, a safety playing over the top of it, and a corner or safety on the other end who is playing towards it. So they literally kind of funneled him into making that throw. But it's not just on Carson in regards to that. From the end zone cut, we can look here. This is the cup. This is the coffee cup that I talked about as Coach Uche when it comes to the pocket. And those are your 4 down linemen that are going to be rushing. Now, this is the defensive lineman that's going to be doubled by the pass protection, as he's the shaded player that is technically over the center. Now, in this protection, their pocket looks decent enough, but Jason Peters and Carlos Dunlap is the matchup you want to look at. Now, in this matchup, Jason Peters actually sets wide open to the sideline, exposes his chest. He doesn't shoot his hands at all in his pass protection, and he's not using the help that he actually has from his left guard, who has his eyes to him in case of any kind of inside move. Now, with that, the pocket has been collapsed, and you have 3 defensive linemen who have actually pushed the pocket back about 4 yards, and they're all in striking range of Carson Wentz. One of them gets their hands on the pass, deflects it, and that actually leads to the interception. So that just kind of shows right there in that first play that not everything is necessarily on Carson Wentz when it comes to how the events of a certain play out. Now, on this play here, we're looking at a 3-by-1 with 3 receivers down at the bottom, tight end up top, running back coming out from the backfield. Now, obviously in this, once again, we're looking at what appears to be a cover 1 hole coverage, man coverage across the board, 1 linebacker who's playing kind of a semi-spy, keeping his eyes on where Wentz wants to go with the ball. We have a safety playing over the top who's also looking to see where the quarterback's going. Now, once again, here, pass protection, a huge issue. Jason Peters gets beat almost immediately off the edge by the outside rusher, and Carson Wentz actually does a pretty impressive job of hanging onto the ball, not fumbling it, not just throwing and heaving a ball up in the air that's going to easily be intercepted. He tucks the ball down and he starts to scramble. And again, we look here at Jason Peters. He is getting beat by the first move with his waist bent. He's leaning over his knees, which means you have no balance. All the guy has to do is swipe your hands to get to your edge, and you'll fall forward because you can't stand up straight. The pocket is in good shape except for what he's doing at the pass protection position. As a left tackle, he got a pay raise in order to be the left tackle protecting the blind side of Carson Wentz before the season started. And thus far, he has not held up his end as being a kind of pass protector who is going to take care of his quarterback's blind side. Now, here we are. This is a red zone play. Obviously, we're inside the 5-yard line. They're going with a 2-by-2 formation. And again, you have man defense across the board with a spy on Carson Wentz. Now, if you're looking at that slot position up towards the top of the screen, you could argue that that could have been a defensive holding on the slot. So really, this is a play that's harder to look at and understand why it didn't work. And if you know how this red zone kind of philosophy in the NFL works, you are not going to see zone defense. You're going to see press man coverage. And in this situation, they've just got the Eagles beat. They have a better defense than the Eagles have play call. They're not running routes that really cause any confusion with the defensive secondary. And with that play action, they actually do have a really good pocket. Their pocket is solid. It's exactly what you want. You've got guys sitting down on their blocks because of the play action, and Carson's trying to find somewhere to go with it. Now, I think that in this situation, he was a little bit impatient, and that caused for him to, make a rash decision that brought him back in getting that sack. Now, here we have another situation again where you've got single high safety, you have man coverage across the board, and the Bengals are actually going to rush 5 this time. You've got the center playing center field, but you've got 5 rushers, which means you have 5 one-on-one matchups. You also have a linebacker in the middle who is, again, spying / covering. You could see there he actually gets tricked and was going to come on a rush, an add-on rush. The running back runs out on a route, so he actually was wide open. But because of the pressure, because of the inability to have the pocket soundly protected for Carson Wentz, it's another situation where he's really just kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. His call linebacker is actually the nickel that's coming on the blitz. So you've got 3 linemen to take care of those 3 threats. You have the linebacker in the middle who's running a spy / man coverage on the running back. And you have your 2 on the right who have their protection. Again, right here, when we look at this, a pocket looks good minus this situation with Jason Peters. He is beat with the same move that he was beat with earlier by Carlos Dunlap, a 1-arm arm bar that shoves him back, forces him to lose his position, and as an end result, He is easily disposed of by Carlos Dunlap, and he gets the sack. This just shows that one of the biggest issues that the Philadelphia Eagles are having right now is that they don't have an offensive line that can consistently protect Carson Wentz. That much we can see. The left tackle position being the highest priority of issue on the offensive line. Jason Peters is just not the same player that he was on the outside at left tackle. When they signed him back in the offseason, Jason Peters was signed back to play right guard. That's because someone in scouting recognized that he doesn't have that same ability as an elite protector on the blind side of the quarterback. And we've seen multiple examples of that here in this game, whether they were sacks or hits. He has been the biggest effect on Carson Wentz's comfortability in the pocket. He's been the biggest effect on Carson Wentz's ability to get throws off cleanly. We see that. There's evidence of that. So if the Eagles are looking to solve their issues, in my opinion, if they're looking to fix a problem, they need to be looking at their left tackle position, because I saw a lot of pockets that looked fairly decent in this film, but I didn't see Carson Wentz being able to really to deliver a ball that was manageable by anybody down the field, because he was a lot of times pulling down the throws and having to stave off pressure from defenders who are coming free on pass rushes. We've seen Jason Peters a few times in this film nearly get him sacked. And that's obviously something that's going to affect a quarterback's psyche as he moves forward. It's something that we saw a lot of in Blaine Gabbert in his rookie year. I witnessed it myself. The guy was getting hit so much that it really threw his entire psyche with football off, and that affected his career greatly, as we all know. And that had pretty much stopped him from being able to grow as a player. But let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments down below. Hit the like button if you like this video. And remember to subscribe to the Observant Lineman, Uche Nwaneri. I appreciate you guys very much for checking out this video, and I will catch you all on the next one. Peace.